Hello, and welcome to another exciting demonstration of xACTION, the bridge between xAPI and enterprise systems. I'll be your host, Art Workentine. Today we're going to look at importing trigger rules into xACTION. First, let's talk about what trigger rules are. Triggers are the heart of xACTION. Each trigger consists of one or more rules for matching statements and one or more outbound actions to take when all the rules are met. Rules are basically xAPI statement patterns. For example, a rule can identify the verb, object, context, activities, etc. that must be present in an incoming statement to match the rule. Rules can be time-consuming to set up, so xACTION has a rule importer. Let's go take a look at that in action. In order to import statements, I've got to create a file to import. This file will contain either a single xAPI statement or it can contain an array of xAPI statements. In this case, I've got 3 in this file, so I've got an array. The first has got a completed verb, the second one has a terminated verb, and then the third has an asserted verb, along with some extensions of the object and extensions of the context. So this is the file I'm going to use to import. So with my import file created, I'm ready to import rules into xACTION. So I've created a trigger, in this case called resume test import, and it currently doesn't have any rules. So I'll go ahead and import those rules. I'll pick my file. And then I've got a lot of options for what I can do. I can choose the various parts of the statement that I want to import, or I can uncheck them to not import them as part of the rule. And then we deal with extensions a little bit differently. You can import without the values, which means you're importing the IRI, meaning that the rule is only going to match a statement based on its IRI and doesn't care about what the value actually is. But you can also import it with values if you want, and that will then be part of the matching process, or you can not import the extensions at all. I'm just going to go ahead and accept all the defaults. And voila, my rules are created. Now I do see that the statement name or rule names aren't great because there is no name of an xAPI statement as part of the spec. So I'm going to go ahead and change those so I can tell what they are in the future if I'm going to come back and make edits. This one is the completed verb. So I'm going to call this one course completion. This one is the terminated verb. So this is actually for a exam or a test, so I'm going to call this exam terminated. And while we're here, we just look and see that the parts that were populated included the success and the true and the score that was required to complete the test successfully, the object IRI and the activity type IRI. There was no duration or platform or revision, so those are just left blank. And the last rule that was imported is the assertion. So that one did not have success or completion properties. It just had the verb, the object, and the activity type. So now that I've got those done, let's go take a look at that statement that had extensions and see what xACTION did with that. So here we can see that xACTION again had to make up a name. In this case, because the IRI can be split up into its various parts, what xACTION does is it grabs the last part. So in the first one you can see that there's an IRI that ended in the word evidence. So it named the context extension evidence, which is fairly accurate. Sometimes you will have to rename those. If it can't figure out what it's supposed to be, it will do the same thing that it did for the rules. And then we've got an entry ID and an end date as an object extension. So xACTION has successfully imported our rule and saved us quite a bit of time in setting up 3 rules for our trigger. So thank you for watching this video on the xACTION rule importer. As always, feel free to contact us with any questions, suggestions, comments, or if you need assistance setting up your project in xACTION. Thanks a lot.